Hey guys, welcome to the religion review. What we're going to do for the next 10 or so minutes is we're going to go through the religion unit. I'm going to tell you what you need to look for as far as studying is concerned, some things you want to make sure you focus on when you're going through your notes, and stuff like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go through the unit as a whole, hit the highlights that we went through in the PowerPoint, and that should be good enough. Should be helpful for you when you're going through your exam. Okay, so first of all, the basics of religion. You're going to want to know what religions are the most dominant throughout the world. Remember that Christianity is still the most popular religion in the world. However, it's not the fastest growing religion in the world anymore. That has been that crown has been taken by Islam, which has grown pretty rapidly, specifically in underdeveloped areas. We're talking about sub-Saharan Africa, Southeast Asia, and of course the Middle East, where it started. Okay, religion. What is it? Is it hard to define? Remember, there's some important some rules and regulations when you're talking about defining religion, and it's important to note those, because religion, if a belief system is recognized as a religion, they get certain privileges. Like, for example, if a institution is defined as a church, they're not taxed by the federal government. If someone's religion states that they are a conscientious objector or they're a pacifist, they may not have to go to war. So it's really important to be able to define what a religion is, and it's something that's not easy to do because the government has struggled with it, the Supreme Court has struggled with it throughout their existence. Okay, so things that you're going to want to know. Remember, for every religion we've talked about, you're going to want to know the hearth of the religion. Where did it come from? You're going to want to know the type of diffusion that the religion had. How did it spread? Was it relocation? Was it contagious or expansion diffusion? Was it spread hierarchically through the path of like a ruler taking the religion, then having his followers take on that religion as well? Those are all things you're going to want to know. Is it ethnic or universal? We're going to go over that in just a second. What are the branches, and is there multiple sects involved with those branches? Have they had any interfaith or interfaith disputes? With that, you're going to want to take a look at your notes that you did on the interfaith dispute handout that we went over today, or we're going over on Monday, depending on what class you're in. Also, what impact has it had on the cultural landscape in regards to places of worship? Do they build certain things? Do they observe nature in a certain way? And of course, pilgrimages. When we talk about pilgrimages, the main two pilgrimages we talked about in this unit were the pilgrimage to the Ganges that Hindus take, and of course the Hajj, which we watched a video on, which is pretty interesting. Okay, correlations. Is there a correlation between secularism and development? Okay, there is. Usually the more developed a place is, the less influence religion has on a place. Think of a big city versus a small town. Urbanization and religiosity. The more urban a place is, the less religion is a dominant force within their culture, okay? And of course, rural societies tend to be more conservative, both politically and religiously. If you look not just in the United States, but throughout the world, the more rural a society is, the more conservative and religious it tends to be. Okay, some categories of religion. Let's talk about ethnic religions and universalizing religions. An ethnic religion is a religion that is usually spatially clustered. It does not proselytize. It is basically for the group which it practices. They're not trying to recruit new members. They're not trying to say that their God is the only God or their truth is the only truth. It's a religion that's set up for the people who practice it. Universalizing is much the opposite. They believe in a universal truth, like their God is the God. Their way to get to heaven is the way to get to heaven. They also believe that for the most part, they should spread their faith, they should proselytize, let people know about it, and universalizing religions tend to be the ones that are growing and expanding the most, and you'll find all over the world. Okay, ethnic religions. Some examples of these, Taoist, Confucianist, Shinto, Judaism, Hinduism. We talked about all of those. A couple things about ethnic religions that you want to keep in mind. They have seasonal holidays. Oftentimes their holidays are based on the seasons or based on nature. You can be a member of the cultural group of an ethnic religion without actually practicing the faith, as in, like, you may not be a devout practicing Jew, but you could still be part of the Jewish community, that type of thing. And when it spreads via relocation diffusion. A couple ones we went over. Shamanism. Remember, shamanism is when there is a leader within a group of people that is the holy leader. They take their cues from him. He's a teacher, a healer, all that type of stuff. He is the shaman of a tribe. We see this a lot of times in Africa, sometimes in Asia, small groups of people, not large at all. Hinduism, okay? All right, Hinduism is a big religion. It's the oldest of the religions. It's about 6,000 years old, started in the Indus Valley. Remember, you need to know about karma, reincarnation. You need to understand the caste system. You need to understand kind of the purpose of moving up the ladder in the caste system to eventually escape the cycle of reincarnation. You're going to want to know how Hinduism diffused. Primarily, it spread through relocation. It's in a lot of places where Hinduism started. It's been replaced by Islam, so that indicates a little bit of migrant diffusion pattern as well. So you're going to want to know all about where Hinduism was started and where it went. The impact on the cultural landscape, talking about, for example, the holy pilgrimage to Varanasi, issues that the Hindus are having with nature, for example, cremation and the pollution of the river, the strain on the wood supply. You're going to want to know about some of their ceremonies. Weddings, for example, I showed you a bunch of pictures of weddings. You need to at least understand that the Hindu wedding is a very elaborate, long process that occurs. Let's see, you want to know what the bindi is as far as the third eye, what that represents. Okay, Judaism. Judaism is a very old religion as well. It's about 5,000 years old, somewhere in there. It's the first monotheistic religion in the world. It started in what is today modern-day Israel, what at the time was called Palestine or Canaan. Keep in mind that the Jewish faith has spread primarily through relocation diffusion, but it's spread because oftentimes where the Jewish faith was, those people were persecuted and forced to move elsewhere, whether it was the Egyptians, the Romans, the Nazis, whatever the case may be. 3 branches of Judaism you're going to want to know: Orthodox, Conservative, and Reform. We went into all 3 of those, so make sure you know the differences. Shinto, I'm not too concerned with Shinto. Just understand that Shinto is an ethnic religion practiced in Japan, focused on detailed dedication, hard work. That's how you honor God. Okay, so universalizing faiths. We talked about this earlier. Universalizing faiths are the opposite of ethnic faiths, as in they believe that they have beliefs everyone should possess. Okay, not just their group, but everyone should possess. So they spread those beliefs. They oftentimes proselytize, specifically Christians and Muslims, Buddhists to a lesser extent. They're dispersed all over the world. Their holidays are based on their founder. These are all important facts you're going to want to know about just the general idea of universalizing religions. And so we talk about Buddhism first. Buddhism started from Hinduism. There was a Hindu prince named Prince Siddhartha. He was a kind of a sheltered guy. Then he went into the world one day, saw all the atrocities that were occurring in the caste system with the untouchables and the lower class, and said, I can't do this anymore. He started his own faith. He was renamed Buddha. His religion basically didn't spread much until he died, and after that it spread via expansion diffusion. Today, Buddhists are primarily in Asia, but they are located all over the world as well. There's Buddhists in the United States. There's Buddhists in pretty much anywhere you want to go. Buddhism had four basic beliefs, what we call the Four Noble Truths, and that was all human beings must suffer. Suffering leads to reincarnation. The goal of life is to end the cycle of reincarnation and achieve nirvana, and you can do this by following the Eightfold Path. And I showed you guys a chart of the Eightfold Path. Make sure you review that on your notes so you understand how to live as a Buddhist and how to escape the cycle of reincarnation. Okay, 3 branches of Buddhism. You've got the Mahayana, the Theravada, and the Tantrayana. And basically, if you go, the Mahayana is the largest. It's also the most progressive. It's the least strict, followed by the Theravada, which is about 38% of Buddhists. A little stricter, not quite as extreme as the Tantrayana, which would be 6%, a small group of Buddhists, and in that population you find monks, people very dedicated, people who have their sole purpose in life is to honor and follow Buddha. Okay, Buddhism did split into those 3 branches because there was disagreements on how strict you should be when you practice the faith, how much dedication you should use. Okay, some impacts on the cultural landscape. Don't forget the number 8 is big for the Eightfold Path, the Bodhi tree, the structures, pagodas, stupas. Those are all in your notes. Make sure you take a look at those. Okay, to Christianity. Christianity started again in modern-day Israel. It's about 2,000 years old. Just look at the date, whatever year it is. You can tell how old Christianity is. Spread in all different ways: hierarchical, contagious, relocation. Spread some during the life of Christ. Most of it spread though after his death. I know about the Christian symbols we talked about, the different crosses: Coptic, a crucifix, a traditional cross. Also the ichthys, commonly known as the Jesus fish. Understand what that means. The branches of Christianity, understand the splits. First split is when Catholicism and Eastern Orthodox religion split. That was in 1054, when there was a fight over who was in charge of Christianity. Was it the Pope? Was it the Patriarch? Patriarch was Eastern Orthodox, Pope was Catholic. They split. Second split occurred about 500 years later with Martin Luther and the Protestant Reformation. He didn't like what the Catholic Church was doing, felt they had become corrupt. So he made a list of things he didn't like. They excommunicated him, and his beliefs eventually kind of morphed and developed into what is now the Protestant faiths, which, if you guys know, for the denominations of Protestant faith, we're talking about Methodist, Presbyterian, Baptist, those varieties of faith. Okay, several denominations, Lutheranism, stuff like that. Okay, Islam. Islam started in Mecca. Okay, Muhammad was meditating in a cave, visited by the angel Gabriel. Gabriel gave him a message, said this is the final revelation of God. He took it, he spread it to the world. Islam, when you're looking at it, has 3 holy cities. It has Mecca, where he was given the message, Medina, where he went when he was kicked out of Mecca, and then Jerusalem, where he ascended to heaven. Now remember, guys, when you talk about these 3 major religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, they all started with the same story of Abraham and his 2 sons, but the difference was, which son was he going to sacrifice? What we see today is Islam is the fastest growing religion. You have, especially in underdeveloped countries, Islam is very much asserting itself as an influence. As far as cultural landscape, know what the Dome of the Rock is. Understand some patterns of Islamic architecture, like the geometric patterns, the minarets. Know about the Hajj. Okay, we watched an entire video on the Hajj, so understand the journey of the Hajj. Let's see. Know the 2 branches of Islam, the Shia and the Sunni. Understand what caused that split. We talked about that today. And understand how they've been fighting, which one's dominant. Remember, Sunni is the dominant of the 2 branches. Shia is only majority in Iraq, Iran, and Azerbaijan. Okay, last but not least, we talked about some syncretic faiths. We talked about Sikhism. Take a look at that. We talked about how Christianity in some ways is a syncretic faith, especially when you look at Latin American Christianity, Catholicism, with the use of the Virgin Mary. So make sure you're good with all that. Okay, remember, we're going to do a review day on Monday in my class. Test is on Tuesday. There will be review sessions Tuesday morning. I believe every teacher will have, they still have the ability to come see every teacher, with maybe the exception of Cohen. And Cohen's kids can come see me. They can go see Starch or Keller, and we can help you out and answer any questions. But those review sessions are to answer questions, not to reteach the entire unit. So make sure you study this weekend, study Monday night, and good luck, on your first test of the semester. Bye.